If you think the Nexus looks good stacked up in the factory, you should see what it looks like on the road. And here is the finished product. The Nexus is the jewel in Piaggio's crown. It's the ultimate scooter for the 21st century. It wasn't the first big scooter. The Yamaha Majesty kick-started the trend, and maxi scooters have grown in capacity and popularity as each year passes. It possesses a vast array of luxuries normally associated with big, expensive motorcycles, such as power sockets for your phone, multifunction trip computers, adjustable ride heights, and even warm air vents for those winter days. In producing a wide range of top-quality machines, Piaggio has taken a huge share of the market. Over the past 6 decades, they've sold over 15 million scooters and have cornered the market at home in Italy. Not content with that, they take a big slice of the worldwide market in countries such as Greece, Germany, France, Australia, Great Britain, and America. In the futuristic Nexus, they've certainly given the other scooter manufacturers food for thought as yet another lorry load of machines sets off for its destination. If you're a scooter fanatic and find yourself anywhere near Pontedera, make sure you visit the Piaggio Museum next door to the factory, where the tool repair shops were once located. The Piaggio Foundation opened the museum in the year 2000, and every aspect of the great Italian company's 120-year history is on display. From this 1936 train, which welcomes visitors into the vast 3,000 square meters of floor space, to aircraft engines. But it's the legendary two-wheeled machines that take pride of place here. Every major milestone in Piaggio's 60 years of scooter history is on show. The large central area of the museum is divided into themed displays, and the lack of any barriers allows visitors to browse at leisure. It's a great opportunity to see how scooters have evolved over the decades. Pride of place goes to the remarkable MP5 prototype, the very machine designed by Corradino d'Ascanio way back in 1945. You can see why Enrico Piaggio called it the ugly duckling when he clapped eyes on it. It was uncomfortable and slow, but the main elements were all in place and it worked. The boss, though, wasn't happy. Remarkably, just weeks later, d'Ascanio and his team unveiled the MP6 with its unmistakable form and amazing technical innovations. And by April 1946, the first production models had started rolling out of the recently rebuilt Pontedera plant. The side cowls were different in shape and size, with a tool hatch on the left, and the 98cc engine situated on the right. The design of the rear section gave the vehicle a sleeker and lighter appearance. The Vespa 98 took over from the MP6 with many subtle changes, and by 1948, a new 125cc engine had been fitted. The concept of the monocoque body construction defined the Vespa image. It fulfilled a structural role while at the same time defined the character of the vehicle itself. One of the most sought-after Vespas among collectors is the limited edition 125U, which had the headlight fitted onto the handlebars. It was of Spartan design and cheaply produced and priced, only 7,000 were built, as the Italians seemed to prefer the better-equipped standard version. Also on show at Pontedera is a selection of competition scooters. These three were used on various trial events, which were popular in Italy in the 1950s. Very few changes were made to the 1951 125 vehicles to make them competitive. The bodywork and suspension were modified slightly, and a spare wheel was added in case of punctures on the rough terrain. The high point among the many triumphs was the outstanding victory in the 1951 International Six-Day Trial over the much larger British motorcycles. In 1947, Dascanio designed the Ape, a three-wheeler version with a 125 engine. The extraordinary versatility of this motor-powered tricycle made it useful in the countryside as well as towns. They were sold all around the world, especially in the Far East, as they could transport all types of goods through busy, narrow streets. Among the many models on display is this unique sky blue 150. The graffiti is courtesy of Salvador Dali. The story goes that two students from Madrid University set off to Italy to visit the Pope and decided to stop off at Cadac to pay homage to the great artist. Dali decided on the spot to treat the Vespa as a canvas. In 1956, a military version with a 150cc engine was developed in France for the war in Algeria. 600 were built. They were parachuted into the war zones and equipped with a 75mm cannon and 6 rounds of ammunition. The race to win the speed record was just another episode in the Vespa versus Lambretta saga. Some outrageous-looking scooters like this 1949 model were built in the quest to go faster. This streamlined machine reached 170 kilometers an hour in 1950. It was probably the most uncomfortable scooter ever built, with the rider lying down with his knees bent right up. The museum here at Pontedera is named after the late Giovanni Alberto Agnelli, the creator of the whole project. Sadly, the young president of Piaggio died before his vision was completed. In the shelving, Vespas and mopeds from the past to the future are on show, from rare production models to one-off prototypes. Agnelli also put together a huge archive of some 4,000 files relating to the company's history. Salvador Dali wasn't the first to decorate a Vespa. Recently, various companies and designers have used the scooter to express their individuality. You can't leave any museum without visiting the shop, and here is no exception. You can get your hands on any souvenir to do with Vespas. There's Vespa hats, Vespa shirts, Vespa postcards, etc., etc. You can even walk away from your visit to the Piaggio Museum with your very own Vespa. It's not only Florence that lives and loves scooters. Visit any Italian town or city, stand on the corner of any street or piazza, and take in the sights and sounds of scooter lifestyle. It's a social phenomenon that's fueled several generations. Now, in the early days, people were happy riding their scooter in just a t-shirt and jeans. That was fine if you intended travelling at 5 miles an hour on a warm summer's day on a quiet lane or a beach. But if you intended to be a little more adventurous, it's sensible to take precautions. Adverts in the 70s and 80s showed riders flying around on their scooters with little regard for the consequences of taking a tumble. It's worth remembering that at some point in your life, it's fairly certain that you're going to fall off. Obviously, full motorcycle leathers and boots may be a little over the top on a small 50cc bike, but there's plenty of great clothes available today that protect you and look good. Knox has produced a protective suit that you could wear underneath your usual clothing. But for the fashion-conscious scooter rider, there's only one style if you ride a classic machine. For owners of today's modern scooters, the range of clothing is vast. Buying a decent helmet is your most important investment. Again, the range available is huge. It pays to get the very best you can afford. A decent pair of gloves and boots are recommended too. You'll be grateful one day. It's incredible to think that nearly 20,000 scooters are stolen each year in the UK alone. Being small and light, they're very easy to nick, but there's plenty you can do to put the thieves off. A visible deterrent will help, like a disc lock. A chain is even better if you don't mind carrying it around. Peugeot have a BOA lock fitted under the seat of many of their latest models.
Many riders aren't just content to use their machines to get from A to B. Owning a scooter can become a real passion.
Welcome to the Isle of Man, the road racing capital of the world. It's the start of summer and it's wet and windy, but nothing is going to dampen the enthusiasm of over 1,200 scooter fans who've come to the island for the first official scooter festival here in over 40 years. A whole week of sporting and social events lies ahead, organised by the Lambretta Club of Great Britain to celebrate 50 years of the classic scooter. There's well over 300 scooter clubs in Great Britain and Ireland alone. Worldwide, there's thousands. First call of duty for these hardy enthusiasts is to set up camp, then ride on down to the grandstand where the famous TT course starts.